Hi guys, so this is my in good faith travel testimony. This is going to be testimony for state number 3, which is Jacksonville, Florida, and Orlando, Florida. So if you guys didn't know, in the beginning of my journey, my name is Chelsea. I go by Tomato Medicine Woman or Coach C, and I am your host for the Social Progress Podcast. So if you guys didn't know, in the beginning of around 2020, I got the silent yet still call that I was going to travel the 7 lands and seas to heal the lands and seas as the lands and seas would heal me. In the beginning, I had no clue what that meant. And this was when the 2020 pandemic happened. I had just lost my job as a youth programs coordinator, and there was a lot of jobs that were closing down. The whole country was closing down. We were declared a state of emergency. We had to social distance and everything. And I ended up leaving the 8 to 5 job force to start my podcast, the Social Progress Podcast, and I also started my TikTok. Guam Social Progress is where I started, and it also I have progressed into Tomoto Medicine Woman with my lived experiences and my maturity. So I started getting the call in 2023 to continue to travel. And when I started like meditating and fasting and asking like my ancestors and Yeshua, like the Holy Spirit, like what am I doing this travel? And like I was like, how am I going to do this travel? And they clearly said in good faith. And I started praying and asking more, like what does that mean? They literally said to get in the back seat. So I literally had to take a leap of faith to literally travel, leave my 8 to 5 job, depend on my TikTok, my social media. Literally, tarot and oral cards was where my finances were coming from. This is where I was getting most of my money. Plus, I was getting donations from family and friends, but a lot of my donations, my financial income, came from strangers on the internet that I never met before, or that have became loyal streamers and supporters that have helped me along the way. So in this episode, I'm going to talk about just a little bit of the testimony in Jacksonville and Orlando, Florida. And I'm going to share some of like the adverse experiences that I went through and then the blessings along the way. So when I was in, I believe it was Orlando, I was outside. I wasn't making any money. I only had enough money to get the train to get to the location. And when I got to the location, I had nowhere to go. I didn't look up any homeless shelters. This was in the beginning of the journey when I wasn't really looking up homeless shelters. I was checking into hotels. That's how I was living. But in Jacksonville, Florida, I didn't have any hotel. I was outside, I want to say, for a night or two before a family member from my cousin's side gave me a call. I literally have like my own consciousness. It's prevalent for me to say that and talk out loud as a Sha woman, like as a shaman, as a medicine woman, so that way we can like identify and just let the demons know like we hear you too. But yeah, so in Jacksonville, Florida, the testimony and the blessing was that I prayed like the Most High Mother God, by the grace of God, I was not outside for more than 3 days. I was outside for a night or two, but it never made it past 3 days in this beginning journey. That night in Jacksonville, I was outside. It was really cool because the train station was next to like this pond water area. So there was like boats and there was swans and ducks and stuff, and there was a lot of people and activity going on. So it kept me busy to sit down and just enjoy my time. So I was sitting down and walking around. I had my duffel bag and I had like a backpack and a luggage. In the beginning of the travel, I literally had a few bags too much stuff. So if you're a traveler, if you're a beginner traveler, or if you're looking for like travel tips, definitely make sure you're traveling lightly. Only have like a pair or two of change of clothes. Always have some hygiene with you, a pair of soap, a toothbrush, toothpaste, dental floss, stuff like that. And then also, I always have my Bible with me, obviously, and just the basics: your phone charger, your wallet, stuff like that. Um, when I was in Orlando, it was really, really hot. It was really, really hot. It was around the beginning of summertime, so it was heated. But I was at the park. I made my way through, and then I had the one thing that I was concerned about was like going to sleep at nighttime, being outside in Orlando. There are like police that ride around on bicycles, and they go on scooters and stuff like that. So sometimes they're obnoxious and they kind of like want to make themselves be seen, and they want to make themselves be heard because they're immature, and they like want to bother people. But it's okay, we're used to that type of stuff. We just they can't really do nothing to us because we're upright and we're not doing anything wrong, so they can't really like bully us or anything, because then that would be against the law. um so yeah, being outside, the only thing I was concerned about was like going to sleep and my safety and security. But my ancestors are locked in around me, all over me, all four corners, to include thy center. So I was safe. But in the beginning, because I was a beginner traveler, it wasn't something that I was used to. So that night I slept evenly, every here and again. However, it was still where I was still up and I was still worried. Obviously, there was people passing by. I think I remember like this guy helped me out. This lady, I was sitting down and I had like some food, and there was this person here that was like sitting around, and I offered them like a fruit or something, just so I could travel lightly, but also just offer something to help somebody else out. I learned along the way that it's a good thing to help people out, but I'm also learning to not always be that helper. So it's definitely a balance of knowing when to give a helping hand and knowing when to just kind of like step back and take care of you. So yeah, after that night, it was pretty okay. I didn't really sleep that much, although I did get a little bit of sleep. And yeah, it was okay. So the next day or so, I had a family member call me up, and she was like, "Hey, I see that you're in Florida. Do you want to come over? We're barbecuing. You can like take a shower and you can get a hot meal and stuff like that." And I was like, "Absolutely, that would definitely be helpful. I would love to stop by." The next day, my cousins picked me up. I got on the train. I made the money. The good thing about being in Orlando to Jacksonville to Orlando, it's not that far. So on the Amtrak, or on the Amtrak train, it's not that much. So if you're a traveler, if you're a beginner traveler, if you're a traveler on a budget, the Amtrak is definitely a best option for you to take. The reason being is because if you're going city to city in a state, it is affordable for you to get across. Just be sure to know that it can get pricey. However, it's pretty affordable to go city to city. State to state is a different story depending on where you're going. So I believe the ticket was about $20 to $30, which was awesome. I made my way towards Jacksonville or Orlando. I believe it was Jacksonville, Florida. And I went over there with a friend, and they invited me over. I got some food, I took a shower, I stayed over, and it was a good time. The thing about this is one of my blood families from my mother's side. It was like a step cousin type scenario, and I'm so grateful because This was a old friend from high school, and she called me in. So that's one thing that I'm grateful for on the journey, is people welcoming me into their home. um, the interesting part about this testimony in Orlando and Jacksonville is I feel like I overstayed my stay. I was there for a few months. However, now that I moved forward and the testimony was there, every single day that I was there was evidence of me needing to be in that specific location to experience different things going on. Like, one of the things that I experienced was that, like, I started finding out through spiritual dreams and testimonies that my grandmother literally tried to spiritually, like, steal my spiritual inheritance, or like rape me for my mana and my energy when I was a child. So what that means in the spiritual community is that, like, we're all learning that we're all demons, right? And we're all learning that we have different types of power, different types of mana, different types of energy. So I'm literally learning that I have Christ consciousness, Christ awareness. And when I was a child, my grandmother, they didn't know that language. They didn't know that language. They didn't know that type of awareness. However, they did know the satanic part to it. They did know the magician part to it. However, I don't know if they knew it in a sense of how, like, I'm tying it together. I feel like, how do I put this? I feel like my grandparents were children of World War II, is how I can comprehend it. And they, worked the 8 to 5 job. They took care of their children. They were, middle class citizens, and they were making well for themselves. But they knew that, me being the chosen child in my family, that there was something special about me. They knew that there was something different about me that the family never seen before, the family never had before. So when I had that dream, I dreamt of, there was like a white feather over my head, and she was trying to pretty much like energetically kick and like punch me, saying like, give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. So I feel like she was like talking about like giving me my mana, giving me my energy. This is about finances. I'm learning that I'm an industry child. I'm learning that, like, I'm learning that in the spiritual realm I'm rich. I'm learning that in the physical realm I'm due for riches. My heritage is richness. My heritage is richness. My heritage is fame and fortune. And you can see how I was hesitant to speak that out loud, because I'm so used to keeping things private, because I'm so used to people, like, I'm so used to being a giver and always giving everything away. However, now I feel like confident to speak my testimony, because there's other people out here like myself who, one, had their spiritual inheritance stolen from them, but two, as well, needs to practice the confidence and the high confidence in who and what we are. Everybody knows it already. We started learning it ourselves in the sense that we are in. So why not walk in it confidently and know it confidently while also being humble? When I say I'm rich, when I'm due for rich and fame, not only is that material financial money, but that's also rich in unconditional love. That's also rich in compassion, rich in kindness, rich in generosity, which is something that is very poor in this world that we live in today. So, being there in Orlando, Florida, the reason why I bring up that message is because one of my testimonies when I was there is I was listening to one of my coaches on TikTok, John Malibu. I don't know if you guys follow her, but she's on TikTok. And I was watching her, and I was watching her, I felt called to go outside. And what I first saw was there was a beetle that was upside down. And the spiritual message that I read from that is like, my ancestors are literally flipping my enemies upside down. And at the time that I received that message, they were just barely starting to like literally attempt to steal, kill, and destroy me as a human being, as a chosen child. And as they were doing that, my ancestors already knew and already saw what they were going to do in advance. They may not have known who, they may not have known what, they may not have known whatever the case is. And also my grandfather's like, make them think that we don't know who they are. Make them think that we don't see them. So that way they can slip up and they can make mistakes and errors, and it's always going to manifest richly, abundantly, gratefully, healthfully upon you. Right? So the literal beetle turned up, belly up. And that was a little confirmation that like my ancestors are literally like flipping these beetles upside down, flipping these enemies upside down. When I went outside, it started storming. I'm grateful for both sides. Definitely not this side though. Very masculine and egoic, but also reading the energy for what it is. What's it called? When I went outside, there was a storm that happened. This storm was so strong that it literally knocked over a tree. And me and my step cousin went outside with her son, and we were playing in the rain. We're having a good time. We're like making fun of it, and we're just enjoying like the rain and the storm and everything. And then as I was going around, I heard like, to do the intention to block a specific person, let's call them high-end nails. I heard a call to block high-end nails. That high-end nails was doing something in the moment, and that I had to fight against high-end nails and return to high-end nails what high-end nails was giving to me. I found out that this high-end nails utilized graveyard magic to literally take my life, for one. I also learned that this person used a glass jar to, I believe, trap my money inside, which is now this glass jar is broken. They have no choice but to break that glass jar and set it free. Set my name free, set my family's name free, etc. Because these people, they know who you love. They try to target who you love. They try to do satanic rituals. And I got confirmation that this person literally had to YouTube how to read tarot, which I did too. But intuitively, I already knew how to read tarot. The only reason why I went on YouTube was so that I can literally affirm and kind of be open to being a student to learn about tarot. But intuitively, I already learned tarot. I already knew tarot through ancestral gifts and abilities. So I went outside and I was going around this tree. I was walking around this tree. I was doing my medicine energy, returning to sender what this person was returning to me. And my ancestors literally told me that I don't really need to do anything, but they just wanted me to be aware of what was going on. When I literally walked around this specific tree that I was being spiritually guided to go through, a sprout literally, it worked. Like the protection that was over my life, it worked. The ancestral energy that was over my life, my natural Pachamama, Native American energy, like native, literally indigenous energy, worked. And the reason why I bring that up is because for anybody out there who is going through a spiritual awakening, a spiritual journey, when you are chosen by the Most High Mother God, even your enemies, God will even use your enemies to pay you back. God will literally use your enemies to watch you succeed. If your enemy literally tried to cast death on you, your enemy is literally casting death on themselves and their bloodline. I used to feel uncomfortable to talk about things like this because I genuinely don't want to put that on other people. However, now that I'm being aware of who I am as a Sha woman, who I am as a medicine woman, I'm acknowledging that I'm a teacher. And just as much as I'm a teacher to people who are interested to learn, I'm also a student to my way of teaching. So when I say Chamorro medicine woman, this is literally my ancestral heritage to speak about my testimony, speak about my stories, speak about my lived experiences, and share it, because there's other people out there who are experiencing similar experiences that may not be aware of what's happening, what's going on, or they may need a coach or a cheerleader, a person of encouragement to encourage them, to guide them, to mentor them. So after all of that happened, I went back on to watch this old mentor of mine on TikTok, and she I can sense the energy that she was like, who the F are you? Like, what the F just went on? Like, I'm over here trying to coach and mentor you and teach you, and you just did this thing that I don't even know you did. I didn't know that you can do that. I didn't even know that ancestrally you were approved to do that. And I could tell energetically that this coach was freaking out. In that moment, she had envious, jealous energy, and it was almost like a game or a competition between the coach and the student. And I want to speak this testimony with respect to the coach's name, Jam Malibu. She, without my testimony and my experience with her, I wouldn't have been where I'm at. Without any of the enemies that I had, any of the demons that came to attack me, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. However, I also want to say that I acknowledge that this was envious, jealous energy, but that she was also assigned to me. Literally, she was assigned to me. It was just a universal alignment, but also she was specifically assigned to me for specific reasons. Whether it be positive or negative, like I said, God always utilized everything for our highest wellness and goodness. So that happened, and I was like, okay, so that's one of my testimonies. It's even a A-list celebrity coach, a very popular coach in the industry, and Hollywood industry, celebrity industry, was watching me, was literally comparing herself to me. Simultaneously, at the same time, there was another girl, Gisela McDaniel, High End Nails. I'm gonna just start saying names out right now, and I'm just gonna start testifying, because I can no longer hold myself back and bite my tongue while everybody else is reaping the benefits of what they've done to me, or also actually really having a hard time and suffering for what they've done to me, because now everybody has to clean it up for my wellness and goodness. But Gisela McDaniel, I got the confirmation that she utilized grave dirt magic to literally cast death over my life. And she also put something in a jar. I don't know if it was my finances, or there was this intention of a child, a business, to attack my business, to attack my finances. I also had a vision and a dream of Gisela McDaniel, that she went to a transgender warlock in Los Angeles, California, and she paid this transgender to do satanic rituals against me. Well, they were wearing black hoodies and they were covering themselves, and when they just wanted, Gisela McDaniel's intention was to just scare me or try to control me, or just set the intention without she was still new at spell casting and casting graveyard stuff and everything. She literally had to Google, my ancestors were this 99-cent spell. They were literally comparing her intentions to a cheap effort to try to take me out because of who I really am. So I had a vision of her in this dark closet, and when this transgender spoke my name, the lights flickered in my vision, and Gisela got scared, And she was like, what is that? What happened? And the transgender was like, oh, that's supposed to happen. Don't worry about it. Well, apparently she summoned something inside of me that I didn't even know was inside of me yet. Right? So the transgender was like, oh, that's okay. It's normal. Da 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 da. She didn't know that she literally summoned ancient fucking ancestors, ancient fucking magical beings that are like top level number one, that nobody messes with and that everybody bows down to. Like, even the ones that you think are the top are still like. So that happened, and then I had a vision that they were utilizing animal sacrifice. They utilized a pig, and then in that YouTube, this is for educational purposes only. This is not for entertainment purposes. This is based on my lived experiences. I'm also very respectful to the names that are mentioned in this podcast. This is my testimony and this is my story, and this is for me to testify and also to document my life for my safety and also for my success. I am a business owner, I am a podcaster, I'm a storyteller, and all my experiences that I go through, I testify it. So that way, again, I can be successful and that I can also be safe. That I am documenting my life experiences. So that happened, and I had a vision that she had my baby picture, and she had some of my family members' pictures in my private stories. When I was on Instagram, I added her to my private stories, and now it's like questionable because it's like, first of all, why am I having like crush energy towards this person? She's not like my type, respectfully, first of all. Second of all, I had an ancestral vision of her that we were supposed to work together artistically. I had a vision of her and I working together artistically. But yet this was the same person that tried to come against me. Now I understand because the Bible says that the weapons will be formed, but they will not prosper. And I also understand that there are chosen children in this world that can either be chosen to work together or they can be chosen to go against each other. But either way, I believe that Jesus Christ, the Holy Spirit, Mother God, my ancestors will use everything for our good. It's kind of like Gisela McDaniel is a American Chamorro, I believe, Caucasian Chamorro woman. If I'm not mistaken, respectfully, you can correct me. And you know, it's like our ancestors. I'm a full-on Chamorro with Spanish blood and Native American blood. And as a Chamorro woman, we know that our ancestors used the whole coconut tree. They used the coconut, they used the coconut water, they used the coconut husk to burn fire, they used the coconut water to hydrate. They use the coconut meat to eat the meat. They also use it as oil. It can be used as different things. We use the leaves, right? We use the leaves. We use everything, right? So my ancestors are like, we're going to utilize everything for your good, Chelsea, because of what was done towards you. So I had that vision and I had that dream, and I was like, okay. And at that time that I had that vision and I had that dream, it was like the people that I was staying with, our family members, simultaneously as this was going on, subconsciously in the spiritual realm, it was starting to happen, right? My ancestors were also showing me generational traumas that was playing out in our family. So there was multiple things going on at once, but it was, my ancestors were also teaching me about relationships. My ancestors were teaching me about how it's like being in a relationship with a boy and a girl in a marriage, having children, fighting over money or working together for money. In the household, my ancestors were showing me how, you know, couples can sometimes compete over money or they can fight over money. They were showing me how sometimes couples can gossip about each other or gossip about other couples. And this is not to put anyone on blast in my experience. However, this is my lived experience, and this is my testimony. This is my purpose to do as a speaker and as a storyteller, because I just want to be respectful. But my ancestors were also teaching me that. And my ancestors were also teaching me about, like, how many times are you going to allow people to hurt you before you walk away? How many times are you going to allow people to continue to do the same things to you over and over again before you walk away, before you close the door on them, before you say no? So in that moment, I was still a student. I was still learning how to have my confidence, how to say no, how to be confident in myself and in just who I am as a person. And yeah, that's one of the testimonies that I had in Jacksonville, Florida, and in Orlando, Florida. I am so grateful to my family member, my step cousin, and my high school friend Brittany Everesto for housing me and sheltering me. It definitely got awkward sometimes just because I was there and kind of like overstayed my stay for a few months. However, spiritually and ancestrally, I want to say that I was destined to be there and I was supposed to be there to energetically help out the family. Even though I was like laying around doing my TikToks, I wasn't working. I was just chilling basically and hanging out with them or hanging out with myself. I was there doing spiritual work. I was there doing grid work. So part of being a grid worker is like you travel to certain places, and in the spiritual realm, in the etherical realm, you're literally uplifting the vibrational energy in Christ consciousness, is what I believe it to be. Christ consciousness is simply unconditional love. It's literally the community coming together, helping each other out, the community coming together for a common goal. Which for me, it was the healing of the planet. As my ancestors told me, I was going to heal the 7 lands and seas, and I was like, what the F does that mean? And now I understand it's through these adversities that I experience, or it's through me being present and just spending time with family and friends. Even if it was awkward, or even if it was like, what are you doing here? Like, what are you doing with your life? It was spiritual. It was ancestral. So yeah, that was one of my testimonies of, experiencing houselessness, being outside, having a high school friend invite me into her space, learning about some people who, Jam Malibu being a coach, being PUA, a pickup artist, to basically spiritually target specific children, specific people who are very important to the world, very important people to society in a healthy way. I am starting to see myself as just how much of a humanitarian I am, just how much love and care and support I bless people with without me even knowing, because it's so natural to me, it's so conscious to me. And it's also unique to me. It's not something that just anybody can do or anyone can be. That's my testimony. That is my experience. Some of the adversities I faced was the finances. When I was going through this experience, I was at the time was a full-time content creator. I was a full-time podcaster, but the podcast was on pause. I was sharing stories about my travel. I was sharing mental health awareness. I was sharing emotional intelligence, etc. And I was doing well in the beginning. However, my finances weren't coming in. My finances was being influences. My finances was being impacted. And that's why I know with evidence, now I know some of the few people who were targeting my finances. Not only was it these 2 strangers that were targeting my finances, but I also have family members. My mom, Norma Cruz, my aunt, Christine Figueroa, and my uncle, Stephen Cruz, all knew that I was a chosen child in the family. They all knew that I was a golden child of the family. And they like did these like satanic intentions to literally like steal my mana, steal my energy. They wanted me to stay in poverty. They wanted me to stay in the 8 to 5 job. They didn't want me to start my business. They didn't want me to speak about our dirty laundry in the house. They didn't want me to speak about the trauma. They didn't want me to speak about the curses in our life. And here I am. They've been stealing from me ever since I was a child. They've been stealing my energy. They've been stealing my confidence. It's the typical narcissistic mother, where it's like she wanted to have that power over you because she can say that she has that power. Because my mother knew that when I went out, people saw my energy and they're like, oh my God, you're so cool. Like, oh my God, you're so funny. Oh my God, you're so loving. Like, let's sit, let's hang out, let's work together. Let's do this and that. And my mom saw that. And that right there is the generational curse of the mother going against the daughter. That is the generational curse of an elder generation fighting against the younger generation due to envy, due to jealousy, due to greed. When really, we should be coming together to support each other. The older generation should be supporting the younger generation. Like, hey, I see you starting your podcast and you're sharing your personal life stories about your trauma and your lived experiences, how you suffered as a kid, how you both were well taken care of. You had a home, you had clothing, you had food, you had love in some capacity, but also you had domestic violence, you had family members addicted to methamphetamine, you had family members addicted to marijuana, you experienced incest, child molestation, etc. Let me help you, right? And it's also an accountability to my generation where it's like, I'm going to be respectful to this coach because I'm interested in investing my time and energy into what they have to teach. I'm going to be respectful to this mentor, to the shaman, the Sha woman, because she has knowledge and wisdom that I'm interested in learning. And I feel a connection, I feel a resonance to this coach, to this mentor, to this teacher. So that is my testimony on how now with my mom, her and I have a good relationship. You can sense that there's still this unspoken energy there. However, we have progressed a long way where it's like my mom displayed signs of like concern, like, why are you reading tarot and oracle cards? That's devil. Like, you cannot speak Jesus's name and talk about tarot and oracle. So that's a taboo in regards to tarot. People can definitely use tarot for evilness, illegally to read people's energy, which be careful on who you're reading. And people can also utilize it for goodness, to read good messages, healthy messages, positive messages. Also acknowledging that tarot is a tool and it is not me. I am the medicine. I am the shaman. I am the medicine woman. I am the chosen child. I am the golden child. Tarot and oracle readings is just an extension of what I know. It's just a tool that affirms what I know confidently. So, now me and my mom are progressing. I spoke to my mom after some time. She literally told me I was a shame to the family. She literally, like, her and my auntie Christine, which is her eldest sister, they laughed at me and they judged me. They're like, oh, how embarrassing that she started a GoFundMe and she's homeless and she's asking people for help. And my mom, like, subconsciously and narcissistically made comments like, do people even listen to your podcast? Do people even support you on your social media? Do people even like your videos, etc.? And that statement right there showed me, displayed to me the spirit of envy, the spirit of jealousy, and the spirit of greed. But today, progressively, after everything I've been through, I told my mom, it's like, Mom, I am a chosen child. Many are called, few are chosen. I am a golden child. I am meant to speak my testimony, speak my stories to the world, and they are meant to listen and to resonate and to receive and to support me as a businesswoman. I'm meant to support them as a coach. And I told her, I was like, if you don't support me, if you don't understand me, that's fine. But I need you to respect me. I need you to respect me as a daughter, and I need you to respect me as a woman, because I love my mom. My grandma always used to preach to us and say, you only have one mother and one father. So it's not going to be perfect. Sometimes you're going to have arguments, and you're going to disagree, but you have to be respectful and kind to your mother. So I went through that experience where it's like me and my mom were butting heads because she always chose my brothers over me. She always spoiled my brothers over me. But I also acknowledged that this was the generational trauma of my grandmother showing my mom love in a certain way by making her food, by being a provider for her clothing, by paying for her to go to a private school, by buying her everything she wanted and needed. However, my mom's specific love languages of maybe like having private time with my grandma with just her instead of putting attention to other people, right? Acknowledging and praising my mother when she did good in school, when she was a A student, honor roll student, little things that help a child, a mother feel loved, feel seen, and feel wanted. So I acknowledge that my mom was displaying generational traumas from the way that my grandmother like raised her. But I'm also acknowledging now that my grandma and my grandpa, they did their best. They loved their children, they loved their grandchildren, and they did the best that they possibly can with what they could. I'm getting emotional because I love my family, and I didn't want to be the one to share our private experiences, which is my testimony in my life, by the way. But it's also like I need to stand up for myself. I need to speak up for myself. And this is my business. I'm a businesswoman. I'm a speaker. This is my purpose. This is my God ordained, ancestral, chosen, Yeshua gifted purpose to do this work. So, that's my testimony. That's my story. Family, friends, A-list celebrities coming for me. And I'm like, I'm experiencing houselessness. I'm traveling, and I'm a beginner artist and entrepreneur. What do you want with me? Maybe there will be more testimonies to come. But anyways, that is my testimony. That is my story. With my finances, I was having a hard time. That was one of my adversities, was my finances, and obviously we know why that was happening in that moment. It was just like a culmination of different people coming at me in that beginning start. But now today, months later in 2025, it's evident that I see how the weapons that were formed, they did not prosper. Because for one, I'm a miracle baby. I'm still alive. The death magic, the death spells, the death intentions, all these different people coming up to me, coming against me, fighting against me at multiple times, it didn't work because I'm still here, I'm alive, I'm breathing. Number two, my finances were influenced and impacted, but I see how energetically and spiritually I'm rich in love, I'm rich in kindness, I'm rich in abundance of grace, I'm rich in forgiveness, I'm rich in understanding. And now that I am confident in who I am, now that I'm confident and know what I am, now it's just a matter of time for the finance to roll in. Now it's just a matter of time for me to go viral. Now it's just a matter of time, which will happen in 2025, for me to see all my hard work, all my dedication and sacrifice in the spiritual realm come down to me in the spirit, in the physical realm, to Tomorrow Medicine Woman, Coach C, Chelsea Cruz. So to any of the healers out there, or anybody who is going through their healing journey or going through trauma experience, etc., and you were like, man, I know I gotta make a change, I know I gotta do it differently, I pray in advance and I give thanks in advance that my testimony will help you take a step forward in your progress, will help you take a step forward in life in general. And if you guys appreciate this message, remember to subscribe to the Social Progress Podcast YouTube, Spotify, and Anchor. If you would like to support me, you can stream visual videos on YouTube, and then we have the audio form on Spotify if you're more of an auditory learner. And Spotify also has a sponsorship where you can sponsor me and become a monthly subscriber. I believe it's as low as 99 cents and up to $4.99 per month. Scratch that, per month, so that you guys can support me as an independent podcaster. You guys can also follow my Instagram, my TikTok, and Facebook, which is all linked in my bio, but it's all Tomorrow Medicine Woman Coach C, or the Social Progress Podcast. Yeah, I hope you guys appreciated this message. To all the travelers and all the grid workers out there, thank you so much for being a respectful traveler. Thank you so much for being an ethical grid worker. Thank you so much for doing the right thing whenever you're out there. To any of the women out there, or any of the men, even of the men or the gay men out there who are like, one of the taboo topics about women traveling is that, like, I'm a woman, I am, I shouldn't be traveling by myself, it's going to be unsafe. Just make sure that you have close friends and families that know your location, know where you are at all times. Make sure you know where you're going, what's around you, and you'll be safe. Just trust that you'll be safe and have fun. It is not like back in the days where it was tabooically dangerous for us to travel. Obviously, there could be a small chance that something happens, but you are so protected, you are so divinely protected, you are so divinely covered in all realms and all realities through all times and space, that no weapon will ever form, and it won't ever prosper against you. If you guys are still here and you guys want to know how to support me, I also have a $40,000 in good faith housing GoFundMe fundraiser that I'm holding right now. This is going to my housing, my very first home as an independent millennial woman, as an independent artist and business owner, podcaster and storyteller. So I appreciate you guys sending any type of donation. There's no dollar amount that's too small. $1, $5, $20, $100 really goes a long way. Thank you so much for the consistent supporters who I always see your name on there. Marian Zing, Jessica Nangauta, Kina Tenorio, Alicia XOXO, Magic Black Feather. Well, that was like back then, but just to all the people who are consistently supporting, consistently donating to my podcast as an independent artist. I know everybody has to work their own job, has to make their own way, but I am so committed and I am so loyal to seeing my vision come into fruition, and for it to be successful, and for me to build my legacy, for me to build my dreams, not only for me but for the future generations to come, or for myself to live a good, well-off, luxurious but also humble lifestyle. You guys are welcome to donate. Also, if there's a anonymous donor out there that wants to pay the whole $40,000 in full, I also receive that abundantly. I am worthy of receiving an abundance of money from multiple forms, from multiple in multiple ways, in this reality as Chelsea Cruz, and all realities throughout all time and space as me right now. You could also share. You can share it and repost it by word of mouth or on social media, so it can get as much attention as possible. My goal is to go viral, and or for my content to meet the right people, and to get me to the right places, to partake in the right experiences of the success of my business. So thank you guys very much. I appreciate you guys. I'm going to be posting my testimonies for the month of September, and I thank you all in advance for your support. I will see you in the next episode. Peace.